Brother, listen closely to this one. Most men don't lose women because they do something wrong. They lose women because they do something too soon. They lean in before there's gravity. They crowd before there's desire. They try to secure something that hasn't even had time to breathe. And then one day, out of nowhere, at least it seems, she asks for space. Or, if you're operating this way early, more likely she just takes it and ghosts, or suddenly has too much going on for dating right now. And then a man's confused, hurt, blindsided. But here's the truth most men don't want to face. By the time a woman asks for space, she's already been feeling smothered for a while. She didn't suddenly wake up that morning wanting distance. Her nervous system has been asking for it long before her mouth ever did. This is why the strongest men never wait to be asked. They give space by default, not as a tactic, not as a game, not to manipulate an outcome, but because their life already has weight. A man with his own world doesn't need reminders to step back. He's already standing on his own ground. And this is where the divide between builder and the bamboozler becomes obvious. The bamboozler builds his life around her. The builder builds his life first and invites her into it. Same attraction, same chemistry, very different outcomes. Let's talk about why. When a man meets a woman he's excited about, his instinct is to increase proximity. More texts, more calls, more check-ins, more reassurance. He tells himself, it's interest, connection, consistency. But what he's actually doing is collapsing the space where desire forms. Desire doesn't grow in constant contact. It grows in anticipation. When you're always there, there's nothing to wonder about, nothing to lean into, nothing to miss. And most men don't realize this because they're not actually present in their own daily lives. They don't have enough friction, enough production, enough challenge to pull them forward. Today we live in a more fragmented world where it's more difficult to gain and maintain social circles and brotherhood. So when a woman enters their orbit, she becomes the most stimulating thing they've got. She becomes the highlight, the reward, the emotional anchor. And that's when things start to tilt. Because a woman doesn't want to be the center of your life. She wants to be invited into a life that already moves. When you stop moving, she feels it. When you pause your momentum, she feels it. When you're suddenly able to see her twice a week right away, she might meet up and even enjoy it for a short time. But what she's really responding to is novelty, not depth, not safety, not attraction that lasts. And then something subtle shifts. When you start orienting your day around her moods, her responses, her availability, she feels it. Not logically, not consciously, but in her nervous system. She feels it in a way her body no longer fully relaxes into you, in a way curiosity turns into familiarity too fast, in the way excitement quietly gives way to pressure. She can sense when your life is slowed down to make room for her, instead of continuing forward and allowing her to walk alongside it. And that shift, almost invisible to you, is where attraction begins to leak out. Not logically, not consciously, not nervously. Her system starts asking questions she can't quite articulate. Why does he have so much time for me? Why does he seem so available? Why does it feel like I've been placed at the center of his life instead of being invited into it? And this is important. Don't beat yourself up if this is you right now. If you feel that pull to reach out, to check in, to close the gap, even when you know you shouldn't, that doesn't make you weak. It just means your world hasn't expanded enough yet. The answer isn't forcing distance. It's growing a life that naturally creates it. Real space comes with fullness. A man who gives space without trying doesn't feel like he's holding back. He feels occupied. His calendar has shape. His body is being worked. His mind is engaged. He's not wondering whether she should text. He's deciding whether it even fits into his day. That's the difference. That difference is everything. And as you build that fuller world, you also start becoming more thoughtful. You start asking better questions. Like, would your favorite superhero, the kind women admire, be sitting around waiting for her to text? Would he fire back 3 messages the second his phone buzzes? Would he need constant communication and a rigid pattern of weekly nights together to feel secure? Or would she feel like he's out on his own mission, his own direction, and she's choosing to step into that orbit? Because when a woman feels like she's being placed on a leash, or that man's running behind her instead of forward, in his own life, something inside her tightens, even if she can't explain why, even if she likes you. And that's why so many men who do everything right still get told they're overwhelming, if she even gives them that much. More often, her energy just fades. It's quieter than rejection. It's like her foot slowly moves from the gas pedal to the brake pedal, and you don't even realize it's happening until the momentum is gone. It's not because they're bad men, not because they lack value, but because they're overinvesting before attraction has stabilized. You must repeatedly remind yourself, a woman falls in love more slowly, and she feels only a simp gives out relationship energy to her before she's shown she deserves it. Giving space isn't about disappearing, it's about not hovering. It's about letting the connection breathe instead of trying to lock it down. Here's where men get it twisted. They think giving space means playing cold, being distant, withholding attention. That's not space, that's insecurity. Real space doesn't come from pretending you don't care, it comes from having a life that's already full. And yeah, let's be honest about something most people never say out loud. Life's different now. We don't live in tight-knit communities anymore. Families are spread out. Friend groups fracture after school, after careers start, after relationships end. Finding your tribe is harder than it used to be. I struggle with it too, we all do. But that doesn't mean you stop trying. You have to work at it. You have to build your world on purpose. Hobbies, clubs, meetups, gym where people actually talk, martial arts, running groups, book clubs, classes, whatever it takes. Use the friend-sided dating apps if you have to. Reach back into old friendships. Be willing to be the guy who reaches out first. Be willing to work harder than feels fair. And for the love of Pete, you cannot stop doing this the moment you meet a woman you're excited about, because real space comes from fullness. A man who gives space naturally doesn't feel like he's holding back. He doesn't feel like he's playing a strategy. He feels occupied. His calendar has shape. His body's being worked. His mind is engaged. He's not staring at his phone, wondering if he should text. He's deciding whether it fits into his day. That difference is everything. Because when a woman feels you don't need to constantly reach for her, she relaxes. Her nervous system settles. She doesn't feel leaned on. She doesn't feel responsible for your emotional momentum. And don't get discouraged if that's not you yet. If right now you feel a strong pull to reach out to her, if you catch yourself wanting to text even when you know you probably shouldn't, that doesn't make you weak. It just means your world needs to grow. Be intentional about that. Not to punish yourself, not to suppress desire, but give her the space to miss you, to wonder about you, to feel your absence without feeling abandoned. And I'm telling you, what you get from it when she does reach out is way better than what you're getting now. Because attraction doesn't grow in constant contact, it grows in rhythm. And even as you expand your world, you still have to stay thoughtful. Because when your life slows down to make room for her, instead of continuing forward and allowing her to walk alongside it, she feels that. Not logically, not consciously, in her body. And that's where attraction either deepens or quietly begins to leak out. That difference is everything. Because when a woman feels that you don't need to constantly reach for her, she relaxes. She stops scanning for pressure. She stops bracing for expectation. She stops feeling like she's being slowly absorbed. And when she relaxes, attraction has room to grow. This is why women often say things like, I don't know why, but it just feels different with him. What they're feeling is space held calmly. A man who doesn't rush to fill every silence. A man who doesn't over-explain himself. A man who doesn't seek reassurance for every move he makes. He's not detached, he's anchored. Now let's talk about the moment where most men fail this test. Early success. Intimacy happens, chemistry clicks, connection feels strong, and a man assumes this means emotional exclusivity, but she hasn't given it yet, and she's likely got other orbiters. He starts behaving like the relationship has already been decided. Daily check-ins, long emotional dumps, future talk, subtle expectations. And this is where a woman often starts pulling back. Not because the intimacy didn't matter, not because she was lying, but because the intimacy doesn't equal ownership and chemistry doesn't equal structure. When a man escalates emotionally faster than the container can hold it, it creates pressure, and pressure kills polarity. A woman wants to choose you. She doesn't want to feel like she's being ushered into a role. This is why experienced men move slower after things get physical, not faster. They don't withdraw, they don't punish, they simply stay in their lane. And because of that, she leans in. Not because he chased, but because he didn't abandon himself. They never get sat down and told, I just need some space. Because they've already given her the space before she asks. This is likely going to be a tough one for you, but in these times where women get a constant flow of validation, if you want to stand out as a man, you have to start consciously working to get there. Not to win her, not to test her, but because a man who has his own world doesn't fear distance, and women feel that. They feel the difference between a man who is present and a man who is waiting and needy. It won't be easy, but the things in life that are worthwhile usually aren't. Take the time to build your life so full that space becomes inevitable. That's when attraction stops feeling fragile. That's when you stop chasing. That's when you stop getting benched while you're monitoring your phone for texts. Because a man with gravity doesn't need to ask for attention. It comes to him. I'm proud of you, brother. Be proud of yourself. If you want to get a better framework for this stuff, before you start paying for coaching, look for my book in the description. It's the best $12 you'll ever spend.